My concern is that lawmakers, policymakers, regulators don't understand the nuances of location data, all the different ways it can be collected, all the different ways it can be used. They're not technical folks. They may have some technical folks in there, but they don't understand this as well as this community does. And there's also a standard approach that the privacy community and lawmakers take in terms of it's something called the fair information principles about how you develop privacy laws and what you require notice and consent and various rights that are really difficult in a location context because of the different ways the location's collected, because you don't have that one-on-one experience. So I often talk about, health information is very, very sensitive, right? Like the medical information, very, very sensitive. But we don't share that with everyone around the world, right? That's not being collected on us on a regular basis. So it's a one-on-one with your doctor or your hospital or a finite number of people. But our location information is collected in a lot of different ways and from different applications and used by different people, some for good, some for bad. But trying to apply something that was developed around health information to location information, which is frankly a bill that there's a bill in the U.S. Congress right now that would do that, raises a lot of issues, an awful lot of issues for this community, depending on how you define location information or depending on how people in their everyday work think about it.
Could you help me understand a little bit, like what are some of the issues that we're talking? Like, do you maybe have any examples or things to help myself and probably some of the listeners understand as well? Because this, especially myself, I'm quite technical, so things, I try to see things through a technical lens, but I'm having a hard time sometimes understanding like what is the nature of the issues that we're talking about. Is it like some applications that just legally are not allowed to continue, for example, or are we talking about something completely different?
I think there is a possibility of that. So, but I think it's a small. Again, I mean, it depends on the geospatial community, and location data is so broad that there probably will be certain things that will be difficult to do, if not illegal, in certain countries or in certain regions because of concerns around location privacy. The broader risk that I see is one, if you need to get consent from an individual to use their location information, but you don't collect it, like I said, in a one-on-one transaction, like through a website or through a a relationship with your doctor. If you're just collecting location information, how do you get that consent? How do they if they have a right to ask you to delete that information? How do they do that? How do you even know that you have it? Because that's one of the things you're supposed to do, is you're supposed to make sure that you identify all the data that you have about an individual. For instance, in GDPR. So if, depending on how you define it in GDPR, an individual has a right to say, what information do you have about them?
If you like this, you can actually listen to the full interview right here. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.